everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into something that honestly affects every single one of us, whether we realize it or not. We are talking about the conservation of plants and animals. But more specifically, we're going to unpack the incredible and frankly sometimes terrifying domino effect of deforestation. We'll see how literally every part of our ecosystem is intimately connected. So let's jump right in.
Okay, I want to start by throwing a super quick challenge your way. No cheating, no checking the internet. Can you name 10 wild animals and 5 wild trees right now, right off the top of your head? I mean, chances are you can easily rattle off the animals, right? Lions, tigers, bears, easy. But the wild trees? That's usually exactly where I get stuck too. And honestly, this highlights a very modern problem. So many of us live in these concrete jungles, far, far removed from actual forests. We're so disconnected from nature that we might not even have a large tree in our own neighborhood. But here's the thing, that distance, it creates a massive blind spot to what's actually happening out there in these crucial ecosystems.
Which brings us to Section 1, the threat of deforestation. So, deforestation, simply put, it's the clearing of forests on a truly massive scale. And, well, the vast majority of this is driven by us, human activity. We clear land for agriculture to feed our growing populations, we chop down trees to build houses and factories, we bulldoze vast areas for mining, and of course, we harvest wood for furniture, the whole shebang. But actually, let's be fair, it's not entirely man-made. Forests also disappear due to some pretty severe natural causes, like intense droughts and completely devastating forest fires.
Moving on to Section 2, the devastating domino effect.
You see, nature is an incredibly finely balanced system. When an area has fewer trees, it directly means less atmospheric moisture. Why? Because trees naturally release water vapor right into the air. So less moisture immediately leads to less rainfall. And over a long duration, that lack of rain causes severe, crippling droughts. But wait, it actually gets worse. Without tree roots to hold the topsoil in place, the wind and water just wash it away. The hard, rocky layers underneath get completely exposed, and over time, beautifully fertile land literally turns into a desert. It's a terrifying process, and it's called desertification. And here's the crazy part. While fewer trees cause droughts, paradoxically, they also cause the exact opposite problem. Think about the sheer havoc caused by massive floods in the hills. You might wonder, why does this happen? Well, tree roots act like nature's sponge, right? They're an anchor. They grip the soil and actively slow down the flow of water during heavy rains. So when you strip away that forest cover, you literally remove the protection. The water just rushes down unimpeded, making floods significantly more ferocious and, frankly, way more destructive. And the dominoes just keep falling. The chain reaction doesn't stop there. Plants consume carbon dioxide, right? So fewer trees mean excess CO2 in the atmosphere, which traps heat and fuels global warming. Plus, without those roots to make the soil nice and porous, rainwater just can't seep down into the earth. That leads to massive groundwater depletion and a huge scarcity of drinking water. And when you have these massive floods or droughts, the lack of clean water brings on absolutely devastating epidemics of waterborne diseases. Oh, and not to mention, we lose invaluable forest produce, things we rely on heavily, like medicinal plants, honey, and natural dyes. It's a real mess. All right, let's look at some solutions in Section 3. Protecting our biodiversity. Okay, I know that paints a pretty grim picture, but thankfully, there are solutions. Before we dive into those, though, let's quickly define what exactly it is we're trying to save here. Biodiversity. It's simply the sheer variety of living beings, the plants, the animals, the microorganisms, all found in a specific geographical region. A rich biodiversity means a much healthier, highly interconnected ecosystem. I mean, think about it. Animals rely on plants for food. Plants totally rely on animals for pollination and spreading their seeds. And microorganisms, they're the cleanup crew, recycling dead matter right back into the earth. It is a massive, incredibly intricate web of life. So, to protect this beautiful web, governments have set up 3 main types of specialized protected zones. First up, we have the wildlife sanctuary. This is a place specifically designated to keep animals safe from disturbance. Poaching is an absolute no-go here, though they do sometimes allow limited human activities like grazing cattle. Next, we step it up a notch with a national park. These are usually much larger and protect the whole ecosystem, the plants, the animals, the gorgeous landscapes, and even the historic objects found there. And finally, the big one, the Biosphere Reserve. This is the largest category of them all. It's designed to conserve the entire spectrum of wildlife and plant resources, while, and this is super important, also protecting the traditional life of the tribal communities living within that massive area.
Let's zoom in a bit for Section 4, the Pachmahi Biosphere Reserve.
Instead of just throwing definitions at you, let's look at a real-world example, because the scale of this place is literally breathtaking. Located in the southern part of Madhya Pradesh in India, the Pachmahari Biosphere Reserve covers a massive 5,000 square kilometers. To put that into perspective, and to show you how a biosphere reserve can actually hold other protected areas, just inside this one single massive reserve, you've got the Bori Sanctuary, the Pachmahari Sanctuary, and the entire Satpura National Park, all safely nested inside. It's huge.
And let me tell you, the flora and fauna here are just incredibly diverse. I mean, from stunning leopards to fierce wild dogs, these are just a tiny fraction of the animal life thriving in this region. The biodiversity is so wonderfully rich that some of the animals you'd spot here are actually also found as far away as the upper Himalayas and the Western Ghats.
But there is a very specific category of life here that requires our absolute utmost attention. I'm talking about endemic species. Now, what are those? These are plants or animals that are exclusively found in one particular geographical area. Like, you will not find them naturally anywhere else in the whole world. And because their home is just so incredibly specific and localized, they face a massive, disproportionate threat of extinction if that single habitat is altered or destroyed.
Here's a really striking example for you, the magnificent Indian giant squirrel. With its long, vibrant, multicolored tail, it is just a truly spectacular animal. And it is completely endemic to the Pachmarhi Biosphere Reserve. Think about what that means. If this specific forest ecosystem were to collapse, this beautiful creature couldn't just, pack its bags and move to another forest down the road. It wouldn't survive. It relies 100% on this very specific protected environment. This brings us to Section 5, Endangered and Extinct Species.
When we fail to protect these habitats, the stakes are just incredibly high. And the sheer weight of responsibility here, it's staggering. Get this, India is actually home to more than half of the world's wild tigers. It holds 65% of all Asian elephants, 85% of one-horned rhinos, and exactly 100% of all the Asian lions left on Earth. These animals are deeply vulnerable. When large-scale deforestation happens, their natural homes shrink drastically, pushing these totally iconic species closer and closer to the edge, turning them into endangered species.
But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There is hope, and the number 3,000 completely proves it. Decades ago, the tiger population in India had fallen to dangerously low levels. So to prevent their extinction, the government launched Project Tiger back in 1973. It was this massive, totally dedicated effort to maintain the tigers right there in their natural habitats. And guess what? It actually worked. The program was a phenomenal success. As of 2023, the tiger population in India has officially bounced back to over 3,000. It's living proof that targeted, serious conservation absolutely works.
Now, to track who needs our help the most, organizations use something called the Red Data Book, published by the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Think of this as the ultimate master ledger. It's a global record keeping track of all endangered animals and plants. It is absolutely essential for preventing species from crossing that final fatal line from endangered straight into extinct. Because once a species is wiped off the face of the earth, like the dinosaurs, or how the native cheetah once completely vanished from India, there's no coming back naturally. That's it.
So, what can we do? Section 6. How to save our forests. The threat is very real, but as Project Tiger just showed us, we definitely have the power to fix it. Let's start with a number that usually completely shocks people. 17. It takes 17 full-grown trees to make just one single ton of paper. Honestly, every time you buy a new notebook or print out a random document, think about the massive trees that had to be cut down to create it. Producing paper is a huge, everyday driver of deforestation. So what are the actual actionable steps we can take? Well, step 1, recycle your paper. Did you know paper can actually be recycled 5 to 7 times? By just selling old newspapers and notebooks to scrap dealers so factories can process them, we actively save trees, energy, and water. It's a no-brainer. Step 2 is reforestation. That means restocking destroyed forests by planting new trees. And crucially, we have to plant the exact same species that were originally found there to keep that vital biodiversity intact. And finally, step 3. Sometimes the absolute best thing we can do is nothing at all. If a deforested area is left completely undisturbed, it can undergo natural reforestation, bouncing back and recovering its lost forest cover entirely on its own, without any human interference. Nature is pretty amazing like that. Look, there's no denying that the current generation has caused some pretty significant damage to the environment. But knowledge is power, right? So the ultimate question I want to leave you with today is this. What will you do to ensure a wealth of natural resources is left for future generations? Whether it's just recycling your old notebooks, supporting protected reserves, or even just spreading the word about what you learned today, the power to stop this domino effect is quite literally in our hands. Thank you so much for exploring this with me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.